Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, retail professionals. Welcome to episode 8 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Melissa Campanelli, editor-in-chief of Total Retail, and today I'm joined by Andrew Spencer, the director of technology for Stance Inc., which is a luxury sock brand. How you doing today, Andrew?
I'm very well. How are you, Melissa?
Great. So here we're going to talk a little bit about your company and about some issues you had when you experienced some traffic increases because of a celebrity situation you had. So
that's right.
Let me first. Why don't you just tell me a little bit about Stance and your role there?
So Stance is a really fun company. We exist because we're breathing life into a retail category that had been largely overlooked when our founders were deciding what they wanted to do. They were at a super target, actually, and they were looking at a bunch of different categories that they might want to look into expanding into and innovating into, and they were looking at the sock aisles, and it was just rows of bland white tube socks. And they felt that there was a huge opportunity, and immediately started working with retailers, and retailers were really excited about the concept, and that's how Stance was born. Another thing that's really important to Stance is technology. So I'm Stance's director of technology. My focus is on e-commerce. We like to innovate. So for example, our skateboarding sock is the most technologically advanced skateboarding sock on the market. It uses something that we've invented called deathless thread, which is 10 times stronger than steel, and we weave this into strategic places on the sock to ensure that when, for example, you're skateboarding and your shoe blows out, you've skated so much, and this happens very often with skateboarders, they wear holes into their shoes. Our sock is more durable than the shoe in those locations, and so the sock never wears out.
So your role, though, is more on the e-commerce marketing side as opposed to the actual technology of building the socks, or are you involved in that as well?
No, so I'm more on the e-commerce side,
okay.
But we have a commitment to technology across the board, so in every product. So our website is one of our products, and then, of course, our socks are another important product.
I get it. That's a good way to look at it. Okay, cool. And just why don't you tell me a little bit about your background? Have you always worked in technology? Have you always worked in fashion, or is this something new for you?
My background definitely is not in fashion. It's in technology. So I started programming when I was really young. I wrote video games when I was in junior high school, and that's kind of how I got started. Really had a passion for all things technical, and I entered e-commerce in 1998, actually. So it was relatively early.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. When me and a team of some other really smart individuals set out to create an Amazon.com for a niche bookstore. And that was a lot of fun. We learned a lot from that. And so I've been in e-commerce for some years, and it's been really interesting to watch it evolve.
Yep, I'm sure. So let me talk a little bit about this partnership that I mentioned earlier. So you recently launched a partnership with Rihanna, and I guess it was on a limited edition sock. So why don't you tell me a little bit about the partnership and the sock and all that good stuff?
Sure. So Rihanna has always been a fan of the brand and involved with the brand, but we'd never collaborated with her directly on a sock product line. And when that opportunity presented itself, we worked with Rihanna to become a brand ambassador, one, and also she's actually a creative director at the company. So her sock line, which we initially rolled out with a limited edition sock, is completely designed by Rihanna. And it's very exciting for us. We have an opportunity to reach a lot of people through the vision of our creative directors, because they are tastemakers. Rihanna is very much a tastemaker, and she understands fashion, and it really reflects in her sock line. It's a beautiful line. So originally, this all happened very quickly. So when I heard that we had signed Rihanna as a creative director and realized that her social reach is over 80 million,
Wow.
I knew that we had some ways to go before we were going to be ready to properly handle this announcement. It was very top secret. Everything was under wraps for quite some time. But I had about 2 months to really see if we had the infrastructure to be able to handle the limited edition sock announcement.
So I'd love to get into that a little bit. So when did the sock actually, like the partnership begin? Like, was it in the last few months or?
Yeah, the partnership began earlier this year.
Right.
But the official announcement happened in July.
Okay. And when you say limited edition, like, was it in terms of number of sock SKUs, or was it
That's
months,
correct.
or?
It was limited
Okay.
edition, and it was quantity. So
Okay. So, you knew this was happening in July, and so in the back of your mind, I'm sure you were thinking about having to, do some sort of background work to make sure that the website was able to handle. Correct?
correct. I knew we wouldn't be able to handle it actually with our
Yeah.
current infrastructure.
Yeah. So from what I had heard is that when the line went on sale, the website experienced traffic of 10,000 simultaneous shoppers per second, and the typical volume is 500. So maybe you could just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so we experienced, once the announcement was made, an immediate spike of over 10 times the amount
Right.
of peak traffic we would see. So it was a massive spike, and before we made updates to our infrastructure, we struggled with peak traffic. And I wouldn't say struggled from the consumer perspective, but we knew that, on our side of things, we were heavily, we were exercising at a very high rate, breathing very
Yeah.
heavy.
Right. So you sort of were expecting it in a way. So how did you prepare prior? What were some of the steps you took?
So we knew we needed to be able to auto scale our infrastructure. So we began building out new infrastructure. The challenge with new infrastructure is it's not proven. And so you have no traffic that's on the new infrastructure. You need a way to be able to load test that traffic. And so we worked on new infrastructure that we believed in theory would handle the amount of traffic we were expecting. And it was really hard to gauge. We just knew it would be a lot more than we've
Right.
ever seen. And a lot more than any brand really our size sees. It's a pretty rare announcement that we made. And so we knew immediately we'd have to do a lot of load testing to be able to have the confidence that when this announcement occurred, we'd be able to handle it. As you can imagine, a brand like ours, we're becoming more and more well known, but this was a great opportunity for us to capture the public eye. And if we were having site problems and if our site was down, it wouldn't be a good look for our brand. And so load testing became very critical, and we needed a way to throw a lot of traffic at the new infrastructure. And so I've used different load testing services in the past, but we found a really neat service that allowed us to throw a lot of traffic very quickly at the new infrastructure, because we had a really tight time frame from the time we finalized the infrastructure to when we were able to test it to when the announcement was made was a period of 5 days.
Oh
So,
my God.
Yeah, it was definitely a very stressful time.
So what was the service that you used?
So we discovered a service called BlazeMeter, which is really nice. I'd worked with load testing companies in the past where you have to go through a contract negotiation just to get bootstrapped. And because of our short time period, we just needed a service that we could get going with quickly and that would work. And so it was really nice. BlazeMeter had a free trial. So we were able to
okay, that makes sense.
send a little bit of traffic just to see how their tool worked. It's really nice. You can basically use JMeter files to test your site, and which is a common load testing description or description of actions to perform. And so we were quickly able to discover that it would work, and it was really nice that we were able to upgrade that service to tens of thousands of simultaneous connections very quickly without much problem. We didn't need to sign any contracts. We didn't need to wait for any approvals. It just happened immediately.
Wow, that's great. So I'm sure the testing involved, could you just, I know it's kind of technical, but can you just walk the listener a little bit through, some of the types of preparedness measures you took? Like, did you just send a lot of data through the system in one time, that kind of a thing, or?
So there are profiles that you can create when you're load testing, and many of the profiles will start with a small amount of traffic and then they build to a peak traffic level and then they will tail off. And so we ramped the traffic very quickly. We wanted to see, because we were anticipating a spike of traffic. We didn't really have a luxury of, say, we assumed our caches would be pretty warm, but we knew there would be a huge spike. And so we just ramped things immediately in BlazeMeter. And so it would start out at, thousands of simultaneous connections and ramp very quickly to tens of thousands.
Okay, great. So I'm assuming that when you did indeed use the service, there was no disruption to the shoppers after?
No, when we were testing the new infrastructure, the load testing didn't create any interruptions.
Mm-hmm. And then I'm assuming that there was no disruptions when you actually went live.
That's correct. So when we received the initial traffic spike, which actually sustained it, it was a significant amount of traffic for about 18 hours. And
wow.
We didn't experience any problems.
Wow, that's great.
And we sold out of the limited edition socks in under 24 hours.
Great. So this is a great story. I mean, it's very it's definitely something that is very specific. Getting involved with a celebrity and having a short period of time where you have to sell a lot of product. But our listeners are gearing up for the holidays right now, so they probably are thinking about these kinds of spikes. So could you offer our listeners any sort of advice just to prepare themselves when dealing with the upcoming spikes in holiday traffic?
Definitely. I would certainly advise that if you're not doing load testing, do load testing. It's not as hard or difficult as it might seem. And there are companies out there like BlazeMeter that are very easy to spin up, and you can be load testing within 5 minutes, which is really awesome. It removes any excuse, from my opinion, to be load testing. And there will be, in holiday, there are always traffic spikes, and you never know when they will come. And if you're not load testing, there is almost a guarantee you'll miss sales.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important to be proactive and load testing. And it's very simple as well, using tools like BlazeMeter to do comprehensive load testing. You can have a bunch of different profiles that are at the ready, and you can run tests after every release, for example, and it can actually become part of your release process as well.
Great. Yeah, and I guess the other key is that you really have to be anticipate that there's going to be changes, there's going to be spikes, and to sort of take action as soon as possible. I mean, do you think that it's too late now for a lot of our listeners, or do they still have time to test?
I don't think it's ever too late. Even if you're testing and you don't feel that you'll be able to make any actionable changes to your infrastructure, at least it's going to let you know what is going to happen. And preparation is so much easier to handle certain situations if you're prepared and you know what's coming. And exactly.
Great. Okay. Well, I thank you so much, Andrew. I really appreciate your time. This has been great information. It's a great story, and it's also going to be really helpful to our listeners. So I'd like to also thank everyone that's listening to this edition of Total Retail Talk. So please check out our podcast channel page, mytotalretail.com/podcasts for our show notes. And Total Retail Talks is also available on iTunes and Stitcher. But make sure to subscribe on our channel as well. And you can follow us on Twitter at mytotalretail or on Facebook at facebook.com mytotalretail.